next time.
Hello everyone, welcome. Trying out the ultra low latency option today.
Awesome.
On YouTube. It's just a thing you can click. It doesn't support super high resolutions and closed captioning, so but I don't think it was probably doing a very good job of translating what you and I were saying thus far, so hopefully we're not losing much. If you're hearing impaired and watching this and you lost something, we won't do that anymore, but that seems unlikely. Just let me know if that is the case. But we are talking today about the Creature book once again. I really feel like when I introduce this part of the show that I'm on a TV show. Yeah. But follow me here.
Yes.
We're in a TV show where a TV show is happening and somebody is like about to get interviewed about their book.
Right.
So they're like, it cuts right to, right? We haven't seen the rest of the show. It just cuts directly to the part where it goes, I'm here with Cassie. She's talking today about the Creature book. Did I say that right?
The Creature book, yes. Yes, John. Yeah.
And then you talk about it and then exposition happens and then probably something crashes through the wall because that's how TV shows work. That kind of TV show that we cut into the middle of never ends.
You get abrupt chaos.
You just get abrupt chaos. I think that's somebody that joins us in chat sometimes. But we started a little bit early.
That is somebody who joins us in chat.
Is that crazy, right?
I think so.
Like connections, I think. Okay, but hello, anybody. If you are there, I don't think you are. Cassie is probably the only one watching.
I believe I'm the watcher right now.
But that's okay. So what we're going to do, potentially waiting for people to show up, is we're going to jump in that dock that I think that you're in.
Yes.
I see you as an anonymous chinchilla.
What?
Oh, I'm the anonymous kraken.
No.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know. I really don't know which of us is which. But
it doesn't matter. It's all
okay.
Good.
Well, actually, the first thing I'd like to do, Cassie, if you could send me a picture of... We're going to go over our bat creature.
Okay.
If you could send me a link to a picture of that because you posted it somewhere.
Yes.
Hello. Loken says, howdy. Oh,
Hi, guys. Can I just send it over Facebook, actually?
You can just send it over Facebook, and then I will put it on my screen, and I will share it, and then we will talk about...
that thing.
And we'll have some stuff to fill out. We have...
That should be it. Okay.
That's perfect. Let me find.
Maybe. But yes? Yeah.
But hello, everyone. As you're joining us, Cassie sent me a photo. Oh, we're going to save it. Okay.
Yeah, that's the right one, though, right?
No, that's good. That's good.
I have like 4 different JPEGs of the same creature, 2 being of a different version, and I'm trying to make sure I send the right one.
Yeah.
But they look very similar.
It makes sense.
Their thumbnails are similar.
That's good. I can just do this. Boom.
Boom.
Okay, so you sent me a tiny little picture. Oh no,
what?
You know what? I didn't click on it. That's
okay.
I need to do my due diligence and save this image as another thing called that. No, we're gonna replace it. Okay. I'm getting used to this browser thing. There we go. Now we have the full-size image, and it wasn't your fault at all.
Bananas.
Cool. Okay.
All right.
So that should be on our screen.
Yeah.
I see what that looks like.
I see it.
Very
it's great.
cool. Okay.
It looks great.
So this is the bat creature that we talked about last time, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was from the prompt. We need a pack hunting creature that disorients prey with loud noise.
Yes.
So this is what I came up with, and it was a lot of fun to make. I love this so much.
Yeah. Oh man, I think it really came out great. Wow. Oh, it's improved even since the last time I saw it. But okay, but we have the doc here.
Yes.
If we go to that, we have this section, and we talked about some stuff, but we're going to now have to change this to match. So, pack hunting creature like a bat, it still is that disorients its prey with loud noises. That's still all true, right?
Yes.
Food chain location, upper middle. Would eat animals, but lions would be scary to them. Is that still true?
Yeah. Yes.
Like, they're still not huge.
And like these animals, let's see, bats have really thin bones, but these guys, because I used a lot of anatomy from pterosaurs and whatnot, do still have reinforced bones like a bird, where it's webbed on the interior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the bones are thin but sturdy. But like you're not gonna tangle with a lion; those are gonna break.
Yeah. Like you're still not.
You're still a little fragile.
You're still fragile. That's it. That's perfect. But okay, so
Just yeah.
so environment, we had coastal savanna before. We want to what is it now?
We've talked a lot about it, and it needs. For now, it's still living in cave systems, so we can make something like that set up in jungle/savanna, where we have like outcroppings of rock. I watched some documentaries about caves as well to try and get an idea of how they're made, where they are and why. And we need limestone and water, because that slowly erodes from water.
Okay, yeah. So basically, those caves you need, and it sounds like you can kind of put those anywhere. In fact, I think, especially as a world building thing, you could even have a lush forested cave in a very unexpected location. Maybe it has its own little biome. Maybe you go through the ice. You're trekking, and I'm now imagining a scene of, people wearing these goose down parkas, very brightly colored stuff, breaking through the ice and finding. That it's quite warm there, and they see birds flying and vegetation growing.
I don't know how that would work. I know.
Right? Well, that's the beauty.
How much do we hand wave?
BS. Well,
how much do we hand wave?
That is
because that's so fun. I love that. I like that idea.
But this can be a fun thing because it's not about how much you hand wave. It's never about the amount, because sometimes we hand wave extreme amounts. But what happens sometimes, I want to check the chat. I didn't mark. Okay.
Yeah.
A couple people are here, but it's not about how much you hand wave. It's about what the story is about. If the story is about if you want it to be about something that's deep down in that forested, thing. Yeah. The lights which have never been seen under the ice, hidden for thousands of years with ancient whatever, right? We don't even know yet. You want all of those things to be true, so you make them true, and you make them accepted in the world. Yeah. You get to decide how everybody reacts in the world, and that kind of sets the tone. It's funny because that is like hard in something like an Alien versus Predator movie, because sometimes you lose something on that feeling. They don't react the right way to these things, that was one of my big problems, I think, with the first one, is the interactions of a woman with the alien queen is just, unreasonable.
I don't know, because I haven't seen it.
And that's okay, but basically she faces down an alien queen. Yeah. And that's all. Hello. Oh, you.
It's just me.
Yeah.
This is me.
But it creates a really weird, interesting thing where, she draws a sign on her cheek and she's marked. They implemented it very cheesy. There's definitely a cool way to do what they did.
I think we're getting off track.
No, we are, but for I think a very important reason. We're kind of waiting for people to show up, getting into it. So this is our beginning banter where we're just talking about. So sorry, I see now your reaction of pulling away a little bit. I think was that it felt like we were getting way off track. I thought it was very important to talk about how much to hand wave, because we get to decide. Is all I was saying. Loken says, I feel like this creature would be awesome to see from afar during the day, but terrifying at night. Yes, absolutely. I can pull it up again. So we don't have to get too sidetracked, but I do agree. I thought that would be a cool thing to talk about. So environment, what we really need is limestone caves, right? Limestone cave systems. Diet is still carnivorous, but we'll eat anything it scavenges. Yeah. I guess that's true of many things. Yeah,
we could still say savanna biome for right now, or rocky intercoastal. I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, that sounds... Rocky intercoastal sounds so cool. Sometimes you should put it because it sounds cool. So group. What do you think? We don't actually have to do this. Group before, I don't think we really filled it up for much. We did marsupial. Yeah. What is this?
Just a...
Is it a mammal now? Does it fit that?
I suppose so, yeah.
So is it nocturnal? Does it hunt at dawn and dusk?
Probably dawn and dusk.
Corpuscular? Corpuscular. Is that what it is? Yeah. Ooh. Oh, but that's the thing. Or is it crepuscular? Crepuscular.
I know we looked it up last
time. I know. There's just two different words. Yeah. Crepuscular. Corpuscular is something else. It's like a medical thing. Crepuscular is of an animal that appears active at twilight. Yes. So dawn and dusk, basically. So we're going to say, because it's just cool, right? Yep. We're going to say it's crepuscular. Mammal.
Yes.
Cool. You gotta spell it right.
And I have some cool stuff about its locomotion.
Okay, yes. Should I just remove this and you want to start over here? Should I save
What?
any of this, or do you want to just tell me and I can type
Save it for now.
Okay,
Save it for now. Everything's still on the table.
Fine. Okay.
Everything's still on the table.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So first off, like some things that I had to tangle with is how do I have a large flying carnivore when birds, at least for right now, are only so big. Obviously, there has been larger bird species in the past that are now extinct. And bats aren't really big. I researched what was the largest carnivorous bat, and it was the spectral bat.
Okay.
But it still wasn't huge. It certainly wasn't like the fruit bats, the flying foxes, and whatnot. So I ended up,
This is a spectral bat, one of the biggest. You said one of the largest bats that's like out there, and it's not that big still.
Yeah.
A ton of these don't show scale, but like this, that's a very large bat as far as bats are concerned.
Yeah.
But like it's still not that big.
I don't think they can see it. Our cameras are in the way. Our little.
Oh, that's how Google works.
Sorry.
Okay. No, good call.
Okay.
I just.
That's right.
Can ruin everything. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I'll have to find the name of the.
There we go. Hey.
Oh.
It just went on Reddit where it was.
Oh, perfect.
But that's much better.
Yeah. How cute. So
how cute. Yeah,
I
that's
think
funny.
it's cute.
I agree with you. I don't think that it's not cute, but I don't know that everybody else agrees with it. Sorry,
That's
what were
fair.
you saying?
Let's see. I also looked into bats as well. Let's see. So that was the largest one.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see if any of them did have like some cool sound related abilities besides just echolocation. And I found one that had a very long name. It might be like a bonnet bat. Oh my god. Had a really weird scientific name, which I don't remember. But it was able to focus intense sonic beams with its crazy little nose. So I thought, oh man, that would be so cool if we just turn up that dial and pop this onto this large carnivorous bat.
This is not it.
It is not it, but
that's
it's cute.
bat.
Yeah, it's a little bat. And
pop that on the carnivorous
Yeah.
bat. Basically, this sound focusing beam, right?
Yes.
Or like a appendage.
Yeah. And I decided to give it like regular nostrils, and then under the colorful top, if you want to look at the picture.
Yeah, let me hop over there.
Maybe. There we go. So on its nose, that colorful, I suppose pads for right now, like nose pads. We'll give it a cool name. Does have two other openings that lead into the nose, but that's where the sound comes out, and that is what allows it to focus the sound. And it's a nice big warning signal. I'm going to make some more diagrams where you could see what it looks like when it's actually flared out and in use. And that's going to be really cool.
Yeah. It makes for a very interesting looking creature.
Yeah.
Because it's this just weird kind of appendage. It's like an ear that you can kind of move around, right? Because your ears focus sound into your ear holes.
Yeah.
Basically. And I think they're a large part of what helps you discern location. The reason you hear location the way you do is the way sound goes in them. So like if you lose the outer part of your ear, for example, you lose that entirely, right? That's the magic of your ear. It's basically an ear on the nose.
Yeah.
So it just creates a very weird looking thing that I haven't seen in nature much when it's up. I'm excited to see your renderings of that.
Yeah.
But okay, so has this weird noise. What did I say? Noise focusing.
It's you want to just call it like a little nose cannon, nose sonic cannon or something.
Nose cannon. Oh yeah, nose.
Sonic
cannon.
nose cannon.
It's. I think my brain is getting tripped up on nose cannon.
I know,
like,
right?
For drugs,
Rostrum. Rostrum cannon.
What?
What?
Yeah, that. Cassie, it is now absolutely the rostrum cannon. Also, that I'm going to use that in a sci-fi thing, too. Has this weird rostrum cannon. No. Are you looking up rostrum?
Yes.
Rostrum cannon. Flexible appendage. So, that name just came from potentially what is a rostrum?
In zoology, a beak-like projection, especially a stiff snout or anterior prolongation of the head in an insect, crustacean, or cetacean. So a stiff snout, I guess that still kind of fits.
Yeah, I'm into it. here's the thing I want to point out.
Yeah.
This, in my opinion, is a very unique name, and if I saw it, I would think was very cool. The uniqueness comes from not knowing the name for something, the scientific name for something. What that means on this side of it is we just look up the scientific names for things.
Yeah.
And then give them the name, the rostrum canon. I'm so into it. Because it's way cooler that we turned it up a little bit and that it now disorients, you know, or can use its powers for other things.
And I think we had discussed it and decided that this thing, like, it could also just produce overwhelming sound. And it could focus it onto an individual, and basically, I guess that's how they would mainly take down prey.
Yeah, so we talked about...
It's an overload of that sense, and I imagine... I don't want to get too gross. Just like ears pop. And I don't know.
I didn't consider that. Yeah, but yeah, like I think it would be like any beam from a TV show you've seen that makes people's eyes and ears bleed.
Yeah.
Like maybe like the biggest ones could be that way.
Yeah.
Where. Yeah, so like smaller ones doing that to you is more a minor annoyance, and you have to take care of it. But if there's a large enough one, like an adult basically, and especially like a particularly large adult, I think it could be something that's like in an area people would lose their hearing.
Yeah,
potentially.
Maybe
I think
it's
that's really cool.
Maybe it's that it needs to work as a pack to actually produce enough sound. No, enough sound to.
Oh, see, that's the thing. I think that in general, it just using its stuff to overwhelm like small animals makes sense. Yeah. But I don't think that they could overwhelm humans. But then I'm now just imagining, okay, maybe there's something in the book that it's like, well, what if it gets too big? Or what if the pack is big? Like, there's a few like variations.
I absolutely considered this to be a threat to people, like your party. If they decide to make you a meal.
Loken says it wouldn't be too far of a stretch for it to be large if it had an abundance of prey that needed to be big, like gazelle or similar fauna, especially if it has special abilities for hunting. Yeah. Yeah, so we went, I suppose this doesn't show scale. That is another thing that we do want to, Cassie's going to work on. Yep. But this is, we talked before about 49 pounds.
Yeah, and
kind of like a small dog.
Yeah, and we speculated that some of them can get up to like 75, but that's probably where they would max out. Yeah. Because, well, I still want it to fly. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine flying.
One of the major concerns, we do agree. Basically, we allowed it to get a little bit big, much bigger than bats, as we saw.
Oh yeah.
Because that is way cooler, and that was the way we justified it. It doesn't exactly fly, right?
If it can fly.
It can just fly. Okay, yeah.
It'll be just fine. Like, all the research...
I didn't remember exactly what we landed on, but it makes sense that it can fly.
Yeah, all the research I did on pterosaurs and using their style of locomotion, because those guys got so big, this, 50 to 70 pound animal's going to be fine. They can use gravity to start flying by dropping, off the cave wall.
Off stuff. I love that.
But my favorite attribute to stick in is that they have, this is from pterodactyls, it's speculated that there is a tendon that stores potential energy when they're at rest on the ground.
Oh, wow.
And what they can do is they'll jump with their back feet and then pole vault using their wings. But that pole vault is what has that stored potential energy and really launches
that's
them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a little bonus jump. It's like a little extra, with their run and jump. It's just like a spring.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Because they're wondered, like, how does this thing get flying?
Yeah, so does this thing have that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, because I'm like, I should add that.
So it's able to launch itself. It does not need a running start.
This says locomotion, but that's not.
Right, we didn't.
Yeah, no. I just realized that's supposed to be special editions. We lost a heading there.
That's all right.
But what did you call it? It has an appendage. What is it? What stores the potential energy?
Another tendon.
A tendon.
Yeah, just like kangaroos, when they're bouncing around, they also have a mechanism in their feet that allows to. Storage of energy and basically like recycle, like a spring,
Oh, okay, yeah. That's amazing.
That makes sense.
A tendon that stores potential energy for a strong takeoff.
And I know we were going to talk about insects. There was like...
Yes, yeah.
Two other attributes I wanted to add that allows this thing allows this thing to fly. One other attribute.
Yeah.
Like birds, and I believe pterodactyl as well. It's going to have like a one-way breathing system. Birds actually have a number of air sacs in their body, and their lungs are very different. It's really interesting looking. So I wanted to use that. And then these guys are going to have a crop of sorts so that they can store some food easily and bring it back to their little family pack.
Awesome. Okay, so I added those to the list because, yeah, these are basically the things that make it unique. But last week we talked a lot about not making things too alien.
Yes.
And I feel like what we've done here is made something that doesn't look too alien to me. It really adds a lot of things we have. There are definitely some things that if I had to make it less alien, I could.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm happy with this level, whereas when we were talking about the creature design book last week, it was just, like, everything was a little bit frillier. Like, everything had more edges. It was just too designed. It was a little too drawn. So I'm so happy with this because it looks like a dog or a normal thing that would exist. And that's what we're going for, in my opinion, because everything can't look that unique, I guess. Yeah. So I like that it's just like, well, no, it's kind of an animal, it's dog, but it has things that make it very unique between being able to fly and disorient its prey, and as big as it is, and the rostrum cannon. Like, all of those things makes it a...
That sounds so awesome. Rostrum cannon.
That's what I mean, right? That's like, oh man, that's going on the next battleship I designed. Like, no question. There's going to be something in the pirate world that is rostrum cannon. And it's gonna be the new thing. It's gonna be this huge ship that is just like one big cannon on it.
Oh man,
like,
I was imagining a figurehead, and it's like this, but there's a cannon built into those arms.
That's so cool! Like somebody holding on to it. Oh, that's just the ornamentation on the side of one ship. Is it's just a bunch of people in different poses holding up the cannon.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's just very cool. But the thing that we're really talking about is with this creature. I like the idea that it is. Not so alien that when the characters see it that they have to investigate it, but not so benign that they don't see it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's to me kind of the line I wanted to walk. So, we are building out this document with more creatures, and as we go, slowly figuring out what it takes to make these things and build that method.
Yeah.
And then eventually publish that as a book that allows you to sort of do the same thing in more a menu-like fashion, right? Cassie keeps mentioning how she does research, and for the last couple of days, you know, she'll throw something out like, hey, what about, I'm reading about a pterosaur or this, or I read about that bird, you know, all of the research that you would have to do if you wanted to create this. But,
I know, I've been telling him so much.
Yeah. But I think there's a way that by doing that, and like we're basically approaching it from both sides, where we do all the research and really make one like this, and then we try to do it the way I did, the method where we take all the blanks and we fill them in with what we want and brainstorm about what it can be.
Yeah.
Eventually, those are going to meet somewhere in the middle, and we'll have that perfect overlap of really cool, interesting creature and. But still feels not like alien. Fits our constraints of what we want it to look like in the world.
Yeah.
But all of that to say, we talked last week. Somebody suggested we should talk insects, so we're going to launch full bore into insects.
Yes.
We're going to have insects in the creature book of all kinds. What's an insect? Like when we say that, we're putting insects in. What does that include?
First, I wanted to look at the message. Loken.
Yes, please.
And yeah, it could be an alternate version of Earth. It's just like...
Yeah,
it would replace or live like hyenas or the African wild dog, which was also an inspiration for it as well.
Exactly.
But yeah, awesome. I'm glad that you can imagine that.
Yeah, because and that's a good way to put it. That's what I want it to fit into anyone's world, because they can always add something that makes it crazy and unique. You know, as soon as you give it a human face and it talks, right? Like, we know how to do that already. Mm-hmm. I think there's more nuance to having it fit anywhere, but that's the beauty, is I want to make sure it fits in our world, and then it'll kind of, in a weird way, fit in everybody's fake RPG worlds.
Yeah.
Because if the story's not about the creature, it should fit, you know? So.
And I feel like the RPG worlds often, take place on a very Earth-like planet with some differences, so I just want these fantasy creatures to still be able to make sense on a earthy like planet.
Because that's
with
the
a little
beauty.
magic tossed in.
That's the main reason they happen on such Earth-like planets is because that's the context we have, right? If everything's
Correct.
alien in the game, we have to ask questions about everything.
Yeah.
And it gets a little tired where it's like, okay, so how do we do this here? Some movies are based on the entire concept of somebody just waking up and not being familiar with the time. And that's the whole joke, is that just nothing makes sense.
Okay.
So we're just trying to avoid that. Yeah.
Yes. So bugs.
Yes. So right. What does that mean?
Insects.
Insects. What does that include?
So, oh man. So there's arthropods, and I was reading about this today. Arthropods make up a number of different bug-like creatures, from crustaceans to...
I type most of these words.
That's just fine. Millipedes, centipedes, which are Myriapoda, I believe. And then, I don't know, I get to always reference my beautiful book.
Innumerable insects.
Innumerable insects.
But when we say insects, we are talking about things that have hard shells usually, right? Yeah, basically that's what it comes down to. Exoskeleton is what it's about, right?
Exoskeleton,
like what are the defining factors? What does it have to have?
Let's say the crazy mouth parts. Has multiple mouth parts.
Okay, we'll talk about that. But like different, that's anything that like comes around the mouth and helps it put things in or grab things. Yeah. Spiders have those. Mantises have those.
A lot of insects.
Just
do.
A lot of insects, right? Guys, I'm gonna list every insect right now that has those. It's a lot.
All 40,000+. I'm sure there's way more. That was a quote from old. That was an old.
That's
quote.
the perfect way to say that number.
And be totally
as far
wrong.
as comedic timing, because you say 40 and then the plus and then the 1,000, where it's just like 40 plus 1,000. Like no, you're not even. You can't. But yeah, so okay. But I just wanted to make sure. So, creepy crawlies.
Creepy crawlies.
Really is what we're talking. But okay. Does insects include grubs? Is a grub an insect?
It is a stage of an insect.
Weird, okay.
Maybe the larva.
All right, I mean, that's fair, okay.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this is gonna sound funny.
Yes.
Is a worm an insect?
No.
No, not at all, right? And I wanted to just make that clear, right? Like, not all creepy crawlies.
Of course not.
What is it? They don't have an exoskeleton, I guess.
Right?
That's one of the big things. They immediately go.
Should we first lay down some things that we need to hand wave? Because I know who doesn't want big bugs in their worlds, but there's like limits as to why we don't have big bugs.
Right. Let's talk big bug movies.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of things about why big bug movies don't work.
Yeah.
Let's talk about why bugs can't get that big, why that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
There are two main ones, I think. What's the one you think? What's your big one?
One of them is the exoskeletons are eventually they're going to get too heavy.
Yes, right. Scale. It's a matter of scale, exoskeleton scale. Basically, when you scale bugs up so big, and really anything in the world, actually, this works with humans, I think is the same. When it gets bigger and bigger, the stuff that works at the scale we're at, or the scale a bug is at, doesn't work at the scale that we're at. Like, because of the way gravity works. A huge exoskeleton, right, you're saying, is basically just heavier.
Yep.
So it just doesn't work the same way. It's like, it would weigh it down. It wouldn't work. Like, it just wouldn't work.
I think it's so... If you look at human anatomy, our muscles are holding up the skeleton, but the exoskeleton is what's holding everything else up. Like, it's... Eventually, there's too much in that carapace, and that girdle's not going to hold.
Oh my gosh. But okay, so... but that's the thing. We remember that though we are hammering this, like, so crazily home... the point is, these are things we can hand wave if we want. So that's one thing, is scale.
Or we can try to make a crazy biome that makes it work.
Exactly, or we can find other reasons. We sometimes you can just hand wave it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you come up with a reason, and that actually makes the story cooler.
Yeah.
Because, again, the same thing. You just do research, and then when your players go, why are the bugs so big? Then you say, oh, well, and then we say one of these reasons, and to them it sounds like you just blew their mind, but you just told them how science works. Like... That's the secret, is knowing how stuff works. So
yeah.
So what's another thing that limits bugs? Why did bugs used to be bigger? Might be a better question.
There was a higher oxygen content in the air. That was a big part of it. people think.
Mm.
That's one of the theories. And Logan, as far as Starship Trooper size, like, I mean, I would love to have some crazy bugs that are that big.
Yeah.
But we'll try and make that work.
That's what's interesting is you get to decide which parts you hand wave because you can basically the way it works is you can say bugs can't be at this size.
Yeah.
And then you can come in and go, okay, but these can. Like, you can always do that.
I wonder if Starship Trooper size would be possible. I need to look at what that looked like again. Because another limiting factor is insects have small openings in their bodies to allow oxygen and carbon dioxide to go in and out. And on the interior of the bodies, these openings are called trachea, I believe. And those branch throughout the body and allow for the exchange of gases. But there's a point where if the bug is too big, those are going to be taking up too much space. Like, that was a weird limiting factor that once it's too big, like, that would have to be so throughout the bug, there would be, like, so little room for organs.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're just, the scale, because of the way a chemical reaction works. Okay, so a few people are in the chat. Hello, welcome, everybody.
Yeah.
Cool Starship Trooper alien that you can't see on our thing. Oh, man.
Like,
I need to set up a new thing in OBS that has more.
Oh, that's okay. So that bug, the Starship Trooper bug, can I tell you, because this one is actually really lean, I wonder if that would work. If the trachea thing might not be as much
because
of
it
an
is
issue.
like legs and a bite. Like,
right? It's
that's
a lot
what
more
a Starship Trooper
slender.
Yeah.
So I wonder if a design like that is more plausible.
But I say that because that's what people say. In my opinion, what I showed you a moment ago is what people mean when they say Starship Trooper bug.
Yeah?
This bug is also in Starship Troopers the movie.
All right.
This bug
I wasn't looking at that.
wouldn't work. No. This bug is like
too big.
building sized in the movie, right?
Yeah.
And it's great, cool part of the movie, but I just don't think like. In fact, I always thought this was the silliest part. The way they kill it is they take a gun and they shoot a hole in this very weird, just thick, like fleshy sort of not exoskeleton seeming in the movie part, and then it's just like a bucket of goop, like it's just
jelly.
Like, it's
jelly.
orange paint in there, like green paint. I forgot what color it was. And they take a grenade and they pop, and it just like bloops in there. It's just the most ridiculous thing.
Weird.
But that's what they were just like. It's just such an unrealistic bug, but very cool Starship. But that's just me being how pedantic that bug is also in Starship Troopers.
Yes.
But that's not the one most people mean. But people said.
Yosef had fantasy plants are generally not that polluted and new, so they can be like ancient bugs.
Oh, okay, yes.
Absolutely.
And then anybody else said, I heard where the double size is quadruple time the bone mass and 8 times the meat. Oh, yeah, 16 times the intestines. Exactly. Where it's just at that scale on this planet, something else would evolve because that just wouldn't work. Like, we're not meant to suddenly change size. I never really thought of it that way.
Right. So those are things we have to consider.
Yeah.
We can hand wave or try to create a biome that might fit.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's see.
I forgot I did this thing where I split the screen, and I think that allows me to see everything, and it allows you to see the dock better. Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
Okay. That only kind of worked. But, okay, so, but like you said, we can hand wave some of those things.
Absolutely.
And we've come up with a few insects already.
Yes.
So you and I just talk about stuff. Did you want to talk about some of those?
Yeah, why not? Definitely. We have a centipede-like creature, and I think maybe we could put this into like the bat system. This is a type of bug. You know what? Let me back up a little bit. So
at the beginning of time.
You know what? Oh, we're going back to the Cambrian period. Okay. So arthropods have been around for a long time, back from the Cambrian period. So honestly, they could be specialized to do any number of things you want. So in this case, we have a centipede parasite species that I've been working on. I haven't given it much thought lately.
That's okay. It's a centipede, and that's all right. We're just gonna throw down some quick stuff about them. We don't have to flesh them out right now. We're just gonna talk to put it in the dock to kind of get it working.
I think it could be specialized to prey on these bats. Maybe it's a type of little predatory centipede that's in that cave system.
And it can be. We're gonna go broader than that.
Okay.
We're not actually going to really tie them together that
All
way.
right.
The thing is, we can say that like we can use this as something for that, but in the creation of it, we'll try not to say things like that because that'll just allow us to use it in more places.
Okay.
Loken also says, I hope I'm saying that right, Loken maybe. Also, insects underwater could get bigger, like giant crabs do. So with a bit of a stretch, say river centipedes, they get bigger than horses or lake beetles. Oh yes, Joseph, symbiotic relationships are fascinating.
Oh.
And that's the thing. I think part of the book will talk about symbiotic relationships because I agree that they're fascinating, and sometimes they're such a unique part of an ecosystem. And I think putting even a simple one like, birds looking out for each other, that's a common one.
Yeah.
Like just sort of helping each other out. Even that makes your world feel more like there's a bunch of birds, not like there's this one bird you made up for just this adventure.
Right.
And I like that idea. But
oh my god, I forgot about the toucans as well.
The
crazy
toucans,
birds.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So.
But yeah, centipede parasite.
So, and we'll think about this more broadly, as they said. This could be, you can make it prey on humans or other animals, whatever you want it to do. Maybe a town is overcome with these parasitic centipedes, and what they do is every segment, basically, of their body is supposed to lock in and attach to its prey's spine. So there's hundreds of different kind of species. I'm getting stuck on that. I don't know why.
Yeah, okay.
I know, right?
So I'm trying to remember. We talked about how there was a bug that lived in trees that sometimes would get on other creatures and drive them, basically, right? I'm just telling you what I remember.
I'm so glad.
Oh, like birds cleaning food from hippo teeth, or mosquitoes that are parasitic. When I was looking for the image for the Facebook event, I was trying to find an ant.
Yeah.
I think it was an ant or some sort of bug that had a parasite on it that was like creating the armor.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one? That was a really crazy one. That's less symbiotic and more like parasitic relationship, but it was still very cool.
Creating the armor. I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, it was like, it was armor. It was like these huge spikes, but it was a parasite, like just growing stuff on this creature, but it was these, like it manifested in these huge spikes. Don't have the face like I'm blowing your mind. You showed me. You showed me this.
I'm sure I did, but your description doesn't bring it to mind.
So I'm pretty sure that I can, because of the way I set up OBS, I can just open Discord and people won't see all my business. But I can just find the image. Yeah, I did it all. But
okay. So
yeah, I forgot we were talking about Insect Week.
Parasitic centipede.
Oh yeah, parasitic centipede. That
it tries to drop down on you, and basically will latch onto your spine. And its head and mouth parts basically will attach to the base of the skull, and it is supposed to kind of drive you to go somewhere else where it lays its eggs and whatnot. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, basically it uses you as the host to feed
its babies.
Its babies, yeah, and that
brood.
can happen to humans. So I did find it.
Okay.
It was the moth that was infected.
Oh, with the...
I'm going to show it, and it's cool. With the cordyceps fungus. That's probably not how you say it. But this moth, this is one... again, this is a parasitic relationship. I realized after I said it that you were describing actual symbiotic relationships, but yeah. I was talking about parasitic ones. But this is a cool one, where it grows the armor, but it's like a fungus or something growing on.
Yep, it's...
really love that one.
It's fungus that's letting those spores go. Man.
Yeah, okay. We'll look it up.
Oh, there's so many different kinds. They're really cool. They get all the bugs.
Yeah, gross fungus. Okay, cool. I mean, that's enough for me. They're gross fungus. But all right, so centipede parasites that these latch onto creatures, take control of them after they get large enough, like get in there enough. I don't know how you say that.
I think once they reach a certain size, they become sexually mature, and that means that they are then the correct size after having molted however many times to latch on to their specific prey. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, so after molting and growing up, after being tiny little baby grubs, we're just summarizing here, so it doesn't matter.
Or being little centipedes and just like eating other bugs and small mammals and stuff.
Yeah, they latch onto prey, take over them, in a parasitic fashion, in
Yeah.
a kind of crazy one. And
They would take over your motor controls, so your brain was still functioning.
oh yes,
But I think it took control of your parasympathetic nervous system, perhaps.
okay, we will.
I'll have to
again,
look
we're just
into it.
summarizing to go back over.
I wish I wrote more notes about it.
Look,
at the
not
time.
not insects, but in a book I read, there were these snails that would latch on and give the host super healing and basically use shells as armor for the host. However, if left alone, would cover the host's whole body. Yeah, that's very interesting.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But that's okay. And then so they take control of a parasitic in a parasitic fashion. Sorry, drive them to somewhere else and use them as food for their babies.
Yes. So what I'm imagining is some bugs that do that kind of deal. Basically, take the host into a den of some sort, paralyze said host. The eggs or babies are already there, and then block them in.
Oh
basically.
yeah, and then the
Or
babies
guard it,
hatch, or yeah.
Yeah. Or go and get more if necessary.
Yeah.
Go get another person. Yeah, stuff like that.
But so this isn't sort of a one-way thing. It's not like they don't latch on once and then like they have babies and then those all do it. You know, like this thing can sort of go to another person.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think, yeah, it can continue to do it if it wanted to.
Yeah.
It doesn't just die with the host.
That makes sense,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that just goes against most movies I've seen. But
You don't want to kill your host.
Well, no, but specifically more like a lot of times in a movie, it's like, and maybe I'm actually wrong about this, but maybe they just killed it. In Alien, for example, the facehugger gets on somebody and lays an egg.
Yeah.
But then
Oof.
I was gonna say, and then it dies, but they must kill it. Like maybe that's wrong. I think that they just kill it, and then that's what makes them their only one. Doesn't matter. We're not here to discuss Alien. That's next week. But that was one of them. Centipede parasite.
Yep.
What other ones?
We had
Or do you want to do another one or whatever we can do?
We had the carrion creature.
Oh yeah, the
Yes.
carrion creature. That's not a very
Right. I needed a different name for it.
not a very descriptive name.
Right. I know. But basically it was something like a grub, at least for now.
Yep.
So this is the larval stage of some kind of big insect. You would often find it at battlefields, or kills. Let's say
Okay.
animal kills as well.
Let's talk about how maggots happen.
Okay.
How do maggots happen?
The adult finds the carcass, lays eggs.
Whoa.
The adult fly.
They don't fly.
There we
So a
go.
fly, some sort of bug,
Yes. Or beetle.
lands
yeah.
on, exactly, something, right? Lands or goes on something, and lays their eggs,
Yeah.
right? So maggots are eggs, fly eggs laid and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Maggots
don't
are
know.
the larvae.
That makes sense. But
There's
I-
eggs and then it's maggots.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
so that's what were we talking about? So these bugs, the
Yeah.
carrion creature. What is the carrion creature? I know we're starting backward, but what does it look like when it's big?
Oh my gosh. I
So
didn't
whatever it
consider
is-
that.
Oh no! Okay.
No.
Okay, because I was like, wait, did we talk about this? We didn't talk about it yet. That's okay.
We didn't
so
talk
say
about
what you were
that
gonna
step.
say, because I was like, I suddenly thought I forgot about it. I didn't think about there being another step. That keeps me up at night, and I hate it. Yeah, maybe they serve their purpose to provide food and/or populate. Hence, yeah, and that's a very movie thing, I think. So
Yeah.
I think moving away from that is better, because that's how I realize now, looking back, that's not how most life works, and that it's not. It's how most life works in movies because sometimes it's convenient.
Yeah.
But that's okay. But so it doesn't matter. But there's a carrion creature, that larval stage of an insect that grows on battlefields.
Yes.
What else about it?
Or maybe it prefers battlefields because it likes to eat the scavengers that are attracted there.
Yeah, like more than anything, it's an emergent behavior that it's found a lot on battlefields.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the battlefields, just that they have the right conditions, a lot of dead flesh, basically.
Yes.
To grow. So yes, yeah. So larval stage of an insect, often found on battlefields.
But it only eats fresh meat. It doesn't. Yeah. That's
Well, okay,
important.
and that's even and that's good, because when I said dead flesh, I don't mean in the sense like with bugs, they literally, it's like rotten and fresh,
Yeah.
dead. But like, so you're right, I used the wrong word because in that context that's important. Recently dead stuff. That's why battlefields are good, because there's a lot of stuff that is freshly dead.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So, Often found in battlefields. But what is it? It's just like...
It's supposed to be a grub type creature, and I'm still considering like what are the mouth parts gonna look like, because we can make this really gnarly. Like, oh man, yeah, I don't know. Okay.
Well, yeah, and that's okay. So that's kind of all we have for that. I didn't really remember what else we talked about.
Oh no, I know that it hides in battlefields and whatnot, and it's going to eat scavengers that come, be it people or animals.
Okay, yeah. So I see specifically. This is basically something that, Loken says, dog-sized insects that feed off leftover food and other waste left by people, so they live near towns and cities and could be pets or pests.
Yes.
They'd keep cities and towns clean, so they'd be useful. That is actually
That'd
really
be
interesting.
Cool.
Because what I'm realizing is this, I forgot that it was like...
It makes me think of the springtails. The springtail idea.
Oh, another thing we had. Okay, so we will, because I didn't think about just going over some of the stuff we've talked about, but we'll go over that in a second. But yeah, so this is some sort of grub that grows into something that is carnivorous, right?
Probably.
It eats other things that would eat the corpses.
I'm not sure yet. I gotta think.
That's okay. Well, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're just writing it down. What about the springtail? I don't remember that one as much. Or we can talk about something else.
The springtails, I was imagining them as, like Locke had said, being like this dog-sized insect. But they get to be your fantasy cannonballs, basically, because they have a springtail. They have a trigger under their body that when they pull the trigger, they send themselves absolutely flying.
Oh wow!
And they go like 80 times their own body length and stuff.
Holy
they can
cow.
go flying. I think it was actually in here. They gave a really crazy comparison as to what it would be like as a human.
Joseph, you say like slimes in fantasy. Is that... Oh, okay, so I have something to say. Slimes in fantasy. Joseph, are you saying that they're like dogs? Dog-sized insects? Because I have never really encountered slimes in fantasy beyond like video games, so I kind of always wondered like how other people treated them, I guess. Pigpug is here.
That's okay.
Awesome insects were my suggestion, and I missed the whole gosh darn thing. So, we will be going for about 15 more minutes. What's funny is, I was pretty sure it was you that suggested it. I said that to Cassie, but I wasn't confident enough to put it in the post because I just couldn't remember, and I really didn't want to slight someone else if it wasn't you, but I'm glad that it was. But we haven't talked about insects a ton, so you're right on time. We're just diving in really deep.
The first half of this video was us talking about...
We were wasting time waiting for Pigpug, you know?
Waiting for Pigpug. Okay, so some springtails can fling themselves up to 80 times their body length. And in human, imagine leaping nearly 465 feet and without a running start.
So basically, yeah, just literally like can do, it has a thing inside it where it can pull that trigger and if it were me, go 460 feet, you said?
Yeah, 465 feet.
Wow.
In one bound.
In one bound. So again, it's an issue of scale.
Yeah.
Where because it's a tiny bug that works, and because you can't just immediately size it up. But the important thing is you can always change things, hand wave certain things to make it work.
Yeah.
It's been interesting that's been a sort of a theme today.
I think it would be kind of wild if you had those as like little cannonballs when you're attacking a place, because they would probably be fine because they have that nice tough exoskeleton after they crash into a wall.
How big?
And then
Now are you imagining like a kind of huge one, right? Like you're like, because at that point you can have that. It wouldn't really work that way.
I know, right? It'd be fun.
Because think about how scary that would be.
And then
I don't
they come
like small
walking back, like on their little legs.
And I love that it's cannonballs without combustion as
right.
well. Like other people would have combustion, but somebody would just have these creatures that make that sound when they're crawling back. I don't know why it's a cartoon. Insect. Pigpug. We're talking about insects. Cassie, we were going over some. Is there anything you want to throw out? Is there anything you want to make something? What do you want to do?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. No, that's all right. Joseph says, yeah, they're kind of OP for weak monsters. I don't think there's anything they can't dissolve with time. Oh, I see. So, yes, they're the perfect... Oh, that's funny because we will have to eventually have a talk about slimes and the economy. Because I realized, Joseph's making a really good point that slimes are a really good way to get rid of trash because they dissolve things.
All right.
Nothing else in the world does that. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that the best way to get rid of trash? If it potentially, because it's fantasy, right? I'm going to say a lot of things that couldn't work in our world, but you could just give them stuff and they could just dissolve it. In the same way that a wizard could just keep shooting power into stuff, you know, if you don't chain it somehow.
You could say that slimes are filled with bacteria that break down anything.
And that's amazing, but basically, yeah, they're like, we need slimes in real life because that would be the perfect trash solution.
Oh, we do. I mean, we're working on it.
Oh, yeah, right, we're working on that, I guess, but that's what's interesting is they do, yeah.
I feel like there are bacteria that are, like, we're understanding things that can kind of eat plastic and decompose and things. I don't know. I've been hearing about that.
Yeah.
It's been, yeah. But
we call them politicians, Josh says. Okay, so that shoots itself like a cannonball. I wanted to finish that thought because I've done that before. You walk away, you'll never remember what you're saying. So,
right.
Let's talk about insects. We talked a little bit about like what they need, right? We have exoskeletons, crazy mouth parts. Then we talked about some of the limits. Pig pug. Maybe the society sorts the recycling in a sense. The metal goes in the slimes and the organic stuff goes to the insect dogs.
The insect dogs, yeah.
See, and that's part of the beauty is the goal of the book would be for you to use it to make an insect dog that feels like people could treat it like a dog in your world, even though it's definitely an insect.
Do we want hidden mouth parts on this dog insect?
Do you want to make a dog insect?
Sure.
Okay.
That sounds fun.
So basically what we're making
Pig Bug finally showed up.
So what we're going to make is we're going to say some very broad things before you say, remember what you're going to say.
Yep.
A domesticated
bug
scavenger insect. Right? These are all things that we already know.
Scavenger
because we've talked about other stuff. Because I'm saying domesticated because it's dog.
Yeah.
We've said dog, right? We just thrown that around.
Yes.
Scavenger because dogs are scavengers. They're not really...
they're not really predators.
They're not really predators. They're not really hunters.
They need people.
And that goes sort of hand in hand with domesticated. And they're an insect. So that means that these are basically insects that don't hunt, which is very weird. But part of the beauty is we're sticking with this. We might... I'm going to use the word cheat, but we might potentially change the definitions in our minds of some of these words to make some stuff fit, so we're not going to worry right now. We're going to make a domesticated scavenger insect.
Yes.
That, in parentheses, relies on people. Because, as somebody pointed out earlier, Joseph said, Loken, dog-sized insects that feed off leftover food and waste left by people.
Yeah.
The thing is... we have a lot of things we have to figure out. Because how do you domesticate an insect? What is that? Is that a thing? Because we might not be able to use that word.
We have domesticated bees. So.
We have domesticated what?
Bees.
Oh, okay.
Right?
See, that's all right. So
bees.
We're using something from science, something that we know, because they'll give us all the answers. There's no easier way to say that.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up like what exactly makes them domesticated because I don't know, what is it? I know, if I could find the video, I'd absolutely link it. But there was a little showcase of somebody who was like, these Africanized bees are now turning kind of nice and you can actually harvest honey from them. So like they can change from being these aggressive animals to being a little more docile.
And okay, so really what we're talking about is, and we're discovering this in a lot of different ways. I remember when I was younger, hearing about the smartest animals, right? You'd hear about or you'd read about maybe in a textbook how dolphins are the smartest animal.
Yeah.
And you kind of have that knowledge and you grow up with that knowledge and then eventually somebody's like, no, we now know that like all of these things are like so smart, right? I saw a bird the other day that solved puzzles that I would probably have trouble with.
Oh my god, yeah. That was the mountain Kia, I think.
Yeah, the mountain Kia, that was a really good one. And it was just really interesting because it sort of changed my perspective because the biggest problem with somebody telling me that dolphins were the biggest, like the smartest other animal out there aside from humans, was that they narrowed it far too far. There are a ton of very smart things out there. And I say all that because I'm like, really what we're saying is the bees can learn. We can make them do what we want potentially.
Yeah.
Which means that we can make bees do what we want potentially, which means we would have to have a reason to do it like we did dogs.
Do we want this to be a flying insect?
Maybe, but similar to dogs,
Yeah.
potentially it is a flying insect, and I like the idea that they like clip wings or something.
Yeah.
Just because that's such a common practice in our world for certain dogs, is that terrible? Right? It is, but it's terrible for dogs too.
Oh,
Right? Clipping tails and clipping ears or whatever.
That's
like,
true.
I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a happy thing, but that's what makes it so real. They would, if they were like, this is a very helpful insect, except for the fact that it can fly. Now, I'm not saying we have to put that in if it's like
Okay.
particularly like, it's like ripping the dog's arms off. I'm like, all right, we don't have to go that brutal. You
I
know?
imagine it's like when some people get their cats declawed.
Yes.
Like it is still cutting off a part of them, and
Absolutely.
yeah.
And
But-
that's the thing, but these would be domesticated, like pack insects,
Maybe
right?
the wings maybe they're vestigial. Maybe they don't actually work anymore.
And that's fair too. Maybe
You know.
maybe that's it. Okay, maybe that's part of the domestication. Just
Yeah.
like dogs, right, come from wolves often, or maybe all the time. They're like,
Domestication, you tend to get a little smaller, unless you're bred to be big.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Basically, the domestication process of effectively breeding better and better natured ones together, right?
Yeah.
On a very broad sense. There's a lot more nuance to it.
But
than
I
that.
wanted to make sure we catch
Yeah.
up with you guys.
Yeah, there's a couple. Yeah, I was gonna say the same.
Josh, maybe they're a larval stage for a long time and are domesticated and scavengers. Then, when they change, they leave.
Or when, yeah.
I could see that. I actually wondered, like, what if? So this is their larval stage. Maybe they're like a small beetle or something. Maybe they're like soft-bodied and covered in like fuzzy hairs. We can
Okay.
make it kind of cute if we want to. And then when they pupate, what?
No, then we're still catching up. Don't
know,
go
right?
ahead.
Okay.
You're on. Yeah.
All right. So.
I get to laugh. You don't get to laugh. I don't know.
Ow. Jeez, I hit my knee on the table.
We're having a little too much fun, everybody.
Too
Sorry,
much
no,
fun.
go ahead.
Larval stage, pupate, and then what if they pupate and then they get like really big? Like, do they become maybe more of a farm animal thing where they're now a beast of labor or up for slaughter,
That would be very efficient.
right?
If they were like kind of small, like that's way easier than raising a cow.
Yeah.
Because of the way they grow and like molt, that would be so much better, right?
Yeah.
Or pupate, rather, I should say.
That reminds me, that was another limiting factor as to why insects theoretically don't get as big, is that they have to molt. Imagine being a
Oh.
huge arthropod and like suddenly you have to shed your whole skin. You're going to be vulnerable for so long.
Yeah, like
while
the
it hardens
square
again.
inch of vulnerability
Yeah.
is like times a million.
Yes.
Higher oxygen. I was updating other stuff, so there's still
Yes.
more things. Joseph says, as long as insects are provided food, maybe they're too stupid to do much after the food. Yeah, basically, I think like they could. I think there's a good argument for
Yeah.
domestication. Pig Pug. I was once on a fetch quest where a carrion crawler was the dwarves' miner's garbage disposal.
Oh, cool.
So your garbage disposal is as a pet you want it to be, or permanent basement composting machine. I love it. That's the thing. The composting machine implies like if you're keeping it in the basement, there's the other end, right? There's the output end of the composting machine.
Soil, that's what you get. But I read the next one. Everybody's gangster until cockroaches fly. Oh my
See,
god.
That's what's really interesting about bugs that
Yeah.
size, because I'm like we're subverting a few things, but if you make it fit in the world, I think it can work and be really weird and creepy and yeah. But then this is the one I laughed at.
Yes.
Pig Pug. The vestigial wing should be almost comically small. That is funny, and I love it because we were looking at a bug crawling on our window the other day. We were like, it's a big glass, like sliding glass door. So there was a bug on like a screen, so we could see it very close up, but we're protected, in my opinion, right? Cassie doesn't mind bugs as much, but the vestigial wings we saw in there were literally comically small.
Wait, I was wrong.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't vestigial wings.
Yeah.
So we have lubber grasshoppers in the backyard, awful pests right now, and they molt. And with every molt, their wings are gradually getting bigger until finally, as an adult, which
Oh,
I've
okay.
caught, then they're huge.
Oh, I do
Then
like
they have
that.
big
Yeah.
old wings.
Yeah, well, okay, so that's fair, right? It was so young that it had tiny wings. But I guess
Yeah.
what's
But they
really
were
important.
really small.
That's
Yeah.
fair. What's really important is even though you were wrong about that, we didn't lose anything. The point is, I saw tiny wings on an insect, and if I hadn't seen that first, I would say no, that's crazy. But I've seen it, and I'm like, no, that happens. That was like on there because they just didn't grow big enough yet.
Yeah.
Also, perhaps there's a vendor of sorts in town that sells these bugs like a used car salesman would. I do love that.
Maybe some of like the adult ones, if in this creature, they become big at one point, like when they molt really big.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they're like, they use cars.
Exactly, like, because what's interesting is, here's what I think. When you say used car salesman,
Yes.
I'm going to walk you through every part of what makes the whole experience for me, right?
Okay.
Cassie's looking at the clock, like, we don't have time for that.
No, I'm fine. I was not.
No, I'm teasing. I'm looking at the clock, because we said when we were going to end, but we're going to talk about this for just a minute.
Okay.
But the idea is, they're livestock. We've effectively described something that is small and then gets bigger and is domesticated, runs around town, but then potentially eventually gets big enough that it's used as an animal on the farm.
Yes.
Which is a weird thing to say, but we know what animals on the farm look like. Just replace them with large insects, right?
Yeah.
Like, kind of weird, okay. But then you have somebody selling them like used car salesmen. So instead of going to a farm, what?
It's just, we could just put these into our little tree people world.
We can, but instead of going to a farm to like buy more of them, basically, instead of like going and there's the just like, you know what a farm looks like, a big red barn, and there's the like livestock cages and stuff. No, all the bugs are lined up with stickers on them. They have like that chalk like written on them. Like, I'm imagining an actual used car lot, and the guy comes up and he's like, so, what are you looking for today? He's just like sweating way too much. It's really hot, and it's just not air conditioned inside the thing. Like, inside the actual room you go in, and it's like hotter in there somehow than outside. And it's just like, no, that's what it's like to buy one of these things. So when I just wanted to both go on that journey, because that's a lot of fun, in my opinion, but also show that by saying it's like a used car salesman would, to me that comes with so much, and I just run with it, because sometimes that can be fun.
Yeah.
Josh says, larvae that eat trash, then after pupation or eat, would then maybe lead to the Kobe Wagyu situation. Yeah. I don't know. People would potentially eat them, but that's what's interesting is we made them dogs that turn into livestock.
Yeah.
Potentially. So I'm like...
Don't call them dogs.
Exactly. But, right, that's where we talked about where we might bend the definition of some of our words for that reason, because... when dogs were originally domesticated, correct me if I'm wrong, you taught me this, there were no relationships. The dog was a livestock animal. You went out and, like, it was your sheepdog, and it rallied your sheep or whatever, and that was it. It lived in the barn. It was
more of a tool, I suppose.
Exactly, but just like your bull pulls your plow.
Cart,
the bulls do that or whatever, ox or whatever you might, But that idea that, like, no, it was just one more tool.
Yes.
But then at some point later... like, there was just a long time that happened, probably hundreds of years, right? I think, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and in
but
different
a time scale
cultures.
that's big.
Yeah.
Exactly. But then now, dogs, as we know them, like, I just wanted to point out to people, because I didn't know that, they didn't just go from wolves to friends. They went from wolves to tools to friends.
Yeah.
Some people still use them as tools, of course, like, and friends.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I say all that because what we can do is, if you keep them tools, then you can have them livestock. That's the other thing. The line often for... what you can eat is based on how you interact with it.
Yeah.
In a sense. So by taking away that part of the word domesticated, I was thinking dogs, but now I have to think more calves,
Yeah.
That helps it. Yeah. So a long thing, but I just like to go through all of that because that's what I meant earlier.
They're cute when they're little. We'll try to make it like that.
Well, exactly. And they don't have to be cute when they're little, basically, but they can be helpful.
Well, I was thinking about they'll be helpful and whatnot. I want to make one that is at least mildly pleasant to look at, like... because I don't know, I don't like bugs. I want to look at us.
Well, and that's what's interesting. What makes it easy to look at?
Easier to look at?
Yeah, like what? How do we have a thing with an exoskeleton and weird legs?
Oh.
And how do we convince people by designing this? How do we convince them it's cute? How the heck are we gonna do that? Because you're right? We can hide the mouth parts, but I'm like, you still got weird eyes, probably. Giving it human eyes wouldn't be any better.
No, we can't Bugs Life it.
Well, I was gonna say, Ants movie. I think I did that.
Joseph says, I've been meaning to ask if they eat the foods like flies. Like, do they dissolve it using acids? I haven't given much thought to that yet, for sure.
But yeah, so
but I don't see why not. That's pretty common.
Well, I don't know that they would use acid, but that's a good point. But okay, so these are bugs that somebody tried to make cute. You may or may not agree with whether or not
too humanoid. Succeeded. Those cheekbones.
What was the other one? A Bug's Life?
Bug's Life, yeah. Bug's Life was definitely friendlier looking.
Yeah, right. Like they abstracted some of the like the anatomy, Like you have the arms, and the antenna. Like they have every part, but by making it a little bit bigger, they made it not as weird.
Yeah.
They almost made it soft looking. So that's what I mean when I say, how are we going to make a bug that convinces people? Because to some degree, you can use all the same parts, but make it not weird to be flying around.
Yeah.
Part of it is like cultural, but part of it is like we'll have to make it look.
I think a lot of it would be cultural, like, because that's...
A lot of it would be.
Oh, yeah. Because that's so different.
But okay, a few... Oh, but by interactions, Joseph said further with that. Josh says, my grandpa had coon and bear hounds that weren't pets, only hunting dogs. Yeah.
That makes sense.
I've never met somebody that really treated animals that way. Oh, you know what I did, but I didn't realize it. I knew a woman that was that way, but she lived on a very large area of like farm, and so there were dogs that lived on their property.
Yeah.
That were like nice, they were domesticated, but they were not their dogs.
Yeah.
But they fed them, but it was like...
They just kind of lived there.
They were like outside cats.
Yes.
But that was the first time I've seen dogs that way, but I've always lived in small areas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, pig bug, give the pretty big bird eyes like some moths have on their wings. Give the bug pretty big bird eyes. Oh, I do like that.
I also thought about, like, false eye spots like mantis as well. Mantids. So that way it could still have the appearance like it's looking at you.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll find ways to kind of give it expressions because that's a part of domestication. At least as dogs are.
Yeah, same thing.
Faces
absolutely. Yep.
Get more expressive.
Because I can imagine it being a satisfying song that they play when, like rubbing their legs together or whatever. We have cicada and we have these other things, but imagine if it's bigger, the range of sounds I think it can make are different, and it could potentially be trained to or otherwise just make a sort of more pleasing sound. Yeah. Like, what if there was a version of barking that we liked? Kind of like when cats meow.
Oh man, I don't know.
We don't have to do that if that's silly to you, but
the cicadas are coming. Oh no, thank you. What? They are wild-looking little alien creatures. Cicadas.
Cicadas, yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I mostly knew them from Animal Crossing, but then but then actually started hearing them and realizing what that was.
So loud.
Shannon says, not being able to fly could be due to selective breeding, like how chickens are too fat to fly. Yes, I think...
Also that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we didn't do a ton of insect creation, but I feel like because we needed to, or in my opinion, I wanted to, sort of really go for talking a lot about what it meant to be insects and what type of things fit in that.
Yeah.
Because I think that's important. And I think we went over some, the centipede, parasite, the carrion creature, but it was a little more high level and a little less deep down, but mostly because we haven't spent a ton of time doing it, talking about insects. So I kind of needed a refresher as well, if that makes sense. Pigpug says, oh, is this a big cicada year? It always is. I don't know.
I feel like it is every year. Like, I hear about it every year. Oh, the cicada, it's going to be all cicadas.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
So I'm like, I feel like if you don't follow it, whatever that is, like if you don't know, then it is every year is the worst since last year. That's just how it works with those things. Same with like hurricane years.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so this has been a lot of fun. We got some cool insect stuff done. We went back over our other creature. I'll put that up before I switch over.
And we'll work on maybe that cave system sometime, because I had ideas for that.
Oh, well. Yeah. So maybe in the future what we'll do, is we'll look at it another way. We'll go biome, or like sort of this environment, and we'll start to build stuff that all fits together. Yeah. And start to see what that looks like. To see how we can sort of broaden that and make that usable for other things. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. Fun to stream on Sundays. I don't know why we keep doing it, but usually we film our Tabletop Terrors videos, me, Tim, and Jeff, on Sundays. But we've had to skip and move around stuff for various reasons, so it's been working. But we still want to stream. Maybe we'll do it Saturdays, whatever. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to everybody. Hopefully you already did that with your mothers, if that's a thing, or you're doing it later. But yes, thank you for joining us on such a day. Catchphrase. We will see everybody next time.